My name is Scott Dill, and I'm on the business development team here with Real Story Group. My colleague Apoorv Durga, who is our research director, will be on the line with us momentarily. In the meantime, I wanted to address a couple of quick housekeeping notes as we get started. First, if you are a subscriber on the line with us, you will be able to access an archived version of this presentation. Also, what I did want to point out was that all people that are on the line will get a copy of the slide deck sent to them from our marketing team over the next couple days. As we're going through the presentation today, if you have questions, please feel free to ask those in the questions window here in GoToMeeting, and we can get to those at the end of the presentation. So just a quick little background about Real Story Group. We are a research and advisory firm that has been around for 15 years, and how we got our start is actually pretty interesting because our company founder, Tony Byrne, really started the company out of frustration more than anything. He was working as a systems integrator and implementer and reading the different research reports that were out in the marketplace, and the experience he was having wasn't matching the experience that he was reading about in those different white papers. So he started a company along the lines of a Consumer Reports where we do no work for the vendors that we cover, and we provide our subscribers with analysis on the strengths of the technology products along with their weaknesses and where they may fall short. So we also engage with our customers through consulting projects where we'll audit and benchmark the technology products that you currently have in place. We'll work on short-term and long-term technology roadmaps to really plan out different investments that you may make in technology. And we'll also sit on the same side of the table with you during a vendor selection project to help you pick the technology, the product that's going to be the right fit for your particular needs. As I mentioned, we're a bit unique in that we do no work for the vendors that we cover within our research. So what that means is we don't speak at their conferences, we don't advise them on their strategy, and we don't take money for them, from them for special treatment within our research. Our only focus is on technology users and buyers and providing them with a pull-no-punches approach, so to speak, in regards to where the technology products are the best fit and where, again, where they may fall short. So we offer research and advisory subscriptions in 7 different areas that are all focused on either digital marketing or digital workplace technology. So companies can subscribe to one of these topics that we cover or several of the different topics that we cover as you're looking to understand which vendors are the right fit for your needs and also stay on top of the different trends within the marketplace. With our subscriptions, we actually provide tools for building a custom shortlist, comparing vendors side by side, and our most recent product called RealScore, where you can actually measure and benchmark the effectiveness of the current technology that you have in place. So here's a snapshot of the vendors that we cover within our research, and what you'll see in the middle of the screen is vendors that show up in several of the different research reports that we offer. And then on the outside of the vendor map are more specialized vendors that only show up in one particular area, such as ECM that we'll be discussing today. There'll be DAM vendors that are only focused on DAM technology, web content management, so on and so forth. So this technology map is available on our website, and of course happy to send it over to you as well if that's something you're interested in taking a look at. So with that, I'd like to turn things over to Porv, who's going to bring us through the heart of the presentation. So Porv, it's all yours.
Thank you, Scott. That was a wonderful overview. So hello, everyone. In this session, we'll talk about the ECM tools marketplace, different categories of tools within the broader ECM marketplace, and what to look for while evaluating those tools for your needs. Right. So this is the broad level agenda. We basically then, after a brief overview, we look at ways of slicing and dicing the marketplace using three categories of evaluation parameters. So we call them universal scenarios, business services, and technology services. So the idea is to be able to arrive at a shortlist based on these three types of parameters, right? So that's the broad agenda. So let's look at the categories first, or get the overview of the marketplace. We now define two categories in the enterprise content management, or ECM/document management marketplace. These two categories are shown in this diagram. The first category to the left is the traditional ECM vendors. Now these are the vendors that provide a whole range of services around document and enterprise content management. This category itself has two subcategories, major ECM platforms and simpler document management products. These are the subcategories of the ECM category. And then the second category, which is to the right, is cloud-based file sharing and sync, or CFSS services. Some analysts also call this category as EFSS, which is enterprise file sharing and sync, but essentially both mean the same thing. Now these services are those that excel in lightweight document management, collaboration, sharing, and sync services. Now these two might appear as two separate marketplaces, right? But you will find considerable overlap of services between CFSS vendors and traditional ECM vendors. Now there are several reasons for that, but one of the major reasons of this overlap is that these CFSS vendors have now started to roll out or build traditional document management services. So things like version control, things like workflows, library services, and so on and so forth. ECM and DM vendors, on the other hand, have started to build or have acquired cloud-based file sharing, sync, and lightweight collaboration services, right? So you see both of those categories of vendors are trying to build services from the adjacent marketplace. And that's the major cause of the overlap. Now, while there is an overlap, the fact is that these two categories of tools tend to address different types of use cases. So in particular, the first category, which is ECM/DM vendors, those are the ones that are more suitable for advanced and complex scenarios. So for example, things like records management, business process management, complex workflows that span across multiple systems, integration with the other third-party enterprise applications, and so on. The CFSS vendors, on the other hand, make sense for many simpler scenarios. In fact, they score better than full-fledged document management tools in terms of ease of use and the fact that you can get an implementation running without too much of systems integration work. So that's really the context and the overview of how we categorize the vendors. Now, if you are evaluating ECM and CFSS tools, then beyond categorizations, there are a few dimensions that we use for evaluations. Now, the first of these dimensions is what we call universal scenarios. Now, what exactly is the scenario? The way we define a scenario is that we think of a scenario as a high-level business use case. Explicitly or not, different products target different use cases in spite of what those vendors claim. Again, there are many reasons for that, but the main reason is that the product's initial incubators or customers wanted it for those use cases. Over time, as the product matured, it broadened its scope, but most often the initial roots are still visible. So we have identified these 7 scenarios for the ECM/DM marketplace. Before we get into those, I'll admit that these scenarios are really abstractions. Your needs will probably not reflect any one of these precisely, but it is likely that you will find some resonance in one or two scenarios or in some hybrid combination of these scenarios. I think that itself is a very good starting point for a product selection exercise. So let's quickly see and go through and see some examples of some of these. This shows the document lifecycle management scenario. So this is a screenshot from a product called Workshare. This scenario basically reflects the basic purpose of this tool, these kind of tools, and that basic purpose is to manage documents as they move through their life cycle. As you can probably guess, this scenario's complexity can vary between extremes. On the one extreme are what are known as really basic document lifecycle management services. And these services include plain and simple document management, ability to upload content, simple workflows, basic library services such as access control lists, versioning, ability to check in and out, taxonomy and search. Now, most cloud-based file sharing and sync services, such as Simplicity, such as Dropbox, uh, uh, such as Oxygen Cloud, and several others, are suitable for this scenario. On the other extreme is the advanced document lifecycle management, and this is a screenshot from FileNet. So these products have much more advanced capabilities, such as support for compound and virtual documents, component content management, uh, sophisticated document lifecycle services, and so on. So this is where the full service document management or ECM products would fit in better than the simpler cloud file sharing and sync products. This is an example of document-centric collaboration. Collaboration, as you probably have experienced, can have many connotations, right? But in context of ECM marketplace, we are most concerned with what is sometimes called collaborative document management or document-centric collaboration, right? So this scenario basically requires technology that can support the collaborative authoring of documents along with ability to support easy and secure sharing and reuse of deliverables. Workspaces are a very common structure in which vendors try to supply this kind of functionality. What this means is that you can buy software that allows you to configure online workplaces or workspaces which are specific to a particular project, for example, and those workspaces then become the daily working area for your team members. So you basically define a workspace, add team members to that workplace or workspace, add documents, add processes, etc., and then use that workplace to manage your day-to-day life around those. So you can store documents, you can log, unlock, annotate, track access to them, and so on and so forth. So you essentially have your teams or employees collaborate using a workplace sort of a paradigm. This is an example of process and case management. So that's the next scenario. A key scenario these systems are used for is for managing and automating business processes, right? So any business process, so let's say a loan origination system or a credit approval system or any of those kind of processes are work hand in hand with a lot of documentation, right? So they are mostly document centric processes. So the key functionality then to evaluate here is workflows, the kind of sophistication that you can employ using these workflows, the process management capabilities, tasks, routing, and case management functionality. Now, case management in itself is an important scenario, but we have often found that case management is used in conjunction with business process management. So things like rules engine, e-forms, and so on. So we have clubbed it with process management. The next scenario is information governance. This is mostly about records management and associated aspects like retention, disposition, physical records management, and archival. Most products in this marketplace have an add-on records management module that typically integrates with the document management product. Now, this is one of the major benefits where a suite vendor can can be a better fit than other vendors. Uh, that is of course assuming that they have truly made the effort to integrate their DM and RM products, and many have not, right? So if you need document management along with records management, some of the bigger suite vendors probably would have better capabilities than uh, the non-suite vendors or more standalone document management type vendors. Right. So that was really the first step. So we've seen some examples of scenarios. So once you have decided which scenarios are more suitable for you or your requirements fall under which categories of scenarios, the next step is to look at the business services or functional services. Now these are the services or features that a product offers. Uh, so business services. So we divide this dimension into 8 categories of features. So this screenshot shows those 8 categories. Now, of course, these are high level categories. In our evaluations, we go much deeper. So, for example, for document management, we will evaluate features such as compound or complex documents. For BPM and workflows, we evaluate process modeling and visual design capabilities and so on. So a document, so quickly, let's describe each of them and then we'll look at some examples. Document management refers to document lifecycle management services. So how the document moves from one stage to another in the lifecycle. Collaboration is document-centric collaboration. Records management and archival is for managing physical as well as digital records and then managing the lifecycle of those records. BPM and workflow for managing processes, for managing publishing and so on. eForms gives you the ability to create forms that then you deploy as part of your case management or BPM capabilities. Imaging and scanning capabilities are important if you want to scan a lot of documents and then have them as part of your business processes. File sync and offline capabilities refer to capabilities for syncing file across multiple devices and then ability to work on them offline. And then business applications, this is a new dimension that we are adding in this year, and these basically refer to availability of pre-built business applications. So for example, if you are in BFSI space, then you probably would want to see applications such as those required for credit card onboarding or new credit card uh, application or insurance claim applications or applications such as those, right? So that's what we evaluate. So let's look at some examples of these. This one shows the file sync and offline capability. So most users these days use more than one device to work. I think all of us have tablets and desktops and mobile devices. So you might use a laptop in office, a desktop at home, a tablet, and a phone while on the move, right? So it is only natural that you would want to access your files from all your devices. And so it is important that the tool allows you to synchronize your files across these devices. Now, as we have seen, a separate category of tools has emerged that specializes in these capabilities, but existing document vendors are also building these capabilities now. So you can use, or if you need these capabilities, the first thing should be to look at your own existing document management tool and see what it provides. The next capability is records management and archiving. This is a screenshot. I think this is from FileNet. So here you should evaluate capabilities such as obviously records management, but also retention, file plan, physical records management, certifications such as DoD certifications, retention and disposition management. Okay, so once you've looked at different functional capabilities and compared those for the products that you are evaluating, the next step is to look at the technology services. Now, these technology services basically deal with the underlying plumbing services, so such as access control and security, as well as the overlying layers of the tool. So, for example, architecture, how good the architecture is, and how scalable the product is, and so on. This section or this dimension is probably more relevant for those of you involved in system administration architecture, development, management type of activities. But we have found that in case of ECM, technology services are equally important, and they are as important as functional services, which is probably not the case in some other marketplaces that we cover. So let's look at some examples of capabilities in technology services. Mobile access is increasingly becoming important. Most users want to access their documents while on the move. So this screenshot shows screenshots from Box and or apps from Box, and the right one is an app from EMC. So the first key differentiator is whether the vendors provide mobile apps only for few devices or for a broader number of devices. Now most tools here provide specific native apps for iOS and Android. A few of them also differentiate between iPhone and iPad, so they provide separate apps for those, but not all of them do so. So that's a major differentiator. Some vendors also provide devices apps for devices such as Windows, BlackBerry, and some other devices, but those are not that common and important these days. Also important to note is that the capabilities of these mobile apps vary across different tools, right? So in some cases, the mobile app is really very basic, allowing you to do things like, let's say, carry out only read-only operations. While in some other cases, you can carry out more complex tasks such as let's say triggering workflows or editing documents, adding permissions, contents, and comments, and so on. So those are some of the differentiators that you should look at while evaluating this capability for the products that you are considering. Another category that's important while evaluation is the administration and management capabilities. Now, many vendors boast of simple installs. The fact is that managing a document management solution is usually anything but simple, and that's even truer if you are considering packages such as those from EMC, Oracle, IBM, and OpenText, right? So those are complex products, complex installations, and so admin and management capabilities become very important. So you will need to make sure that the entire stack is ready, which means that you are able to you are able to monitor different layers. So you are able to monitor the operating system, database, application server, and so on and so forth. And then you also need capabilities to uh, manage different work areas, different user roles, ACLs, reporting, and so on and so forth. Integration and extensibility is another capability under technical services. Now, these products are never used as a standalone in any organization, right? So they typically integrate uh, with productivity software such as Outlook or email systems, but they also integrate with several enterprise systems. So integration with SAP, CRM systems, other enterprise applications. So you should evaluate the kind of APIs they provide and also the kind of pre-built connectors they provide, right? So integration is a huge effort, and if you are getting a connector which is already built in, you would actually save a lot of effort in terms of resources and time to market and so on and so forth. So this category, this dimension becomes very important when you are comparing products. Okay, so those were the three dimensions that we cover in our evaluation. So this slide really summarizes that. We've covered the number 2, 3, and 4 in this. So essentially business use cases, business services, and technology services. So those are the three dimensions which are primarily used while evaluating these products. There's another dimension which is called strategic considerations. We haven't covered that in this session, and that's because those strategic considerations are not specific to ECM. They are common to all the streams that we cover, and they are useful for any vendor selection. We actually think that strategic considerations are more important than the other three dimensions. So I have mentioned those strategic dimensions here for your reference. This is the marketplace that we just talked about. So there are ECM and DM products. So first block is ECM products, platforms, which are the large infrastructure kind of vendors, EMC, Oracle, IBM, and so on. The next one is DM products or document management products. So these are more productized uh, as opposed to more platform-like nature of the first box, right? So box, Everteam, M-Files, etc. And then the third box shows the cloud file sharing and sync vendors, which are really relatively simpler but more useful for certain use cases. Okay, so that's all that I had to share in this session. I'll request Scott to take the control back and share any closing thoughts that you might have.
Absolutely. And thanks, Apoorv. And again, thank you all for taking the time to join us. Certainly hope the information we provided was helpful as you're looking to get a better understanding of the ECM technology marketplace, some of the scenarios in which the tools can be evaluated, as well as who some of the key players are. All this information can be found in our research on ECM and cloud file sharing technology. If you're interested in learning more about becoming a subscriber and perhaps taking a behind-the-scenes tour of the Real Story Group subscriber experience, we invite you to reach out to us at engage@realstorygroup.com to schedule a discussion together. Again, that's engage@realstorygroup.com. Our next webinar is going to be in 3 weeks on September 7th, where we'll be highlighting the recent update to our web content management technology research and taking a look at the latest techniques for evaluating vendors in that marketplace. That said, Apoorv, it looks like some questions have come into the queue for you to review.
Yeah, sure. So let's see. Okay, so why is XYZ not on your list? So there's an example of DocuShare here. People have asked for some other products also. So the short answer is that we keep expanding our list, right? So if more people ask us about a specific product, we'll usually include that in our next release. We keep changing that list. We keep including new products, keep removing that product. So it's really a dynamic list. We will probably include DocuShare in one of our future releases. Where would you position solutions such as Google for Work and the range of modules that it has? Well, I'm not sure. So I have not heard of Google being used or Google for Work being used as a document management product or an ECM product. So probably can be used for collaboration or more generic collaboration, but not really for process-oriented document management kind of scenarios that the tools we cover in this marketplace cover. So that's all I know about Google for Work. My ECM vendor already provides cloud file sharing. Is that a better option than say a standalone file sharing service? Well, so that's a good question. So if your ECM vendor already provides cloud file sharing, and you are using that tool for your needs, then I think that should be your first bet really. So you should evaluate that. Uh, but so the benefit there is that you don't have to get into integration of ECM and cloud file sharing, which can be a major integration. But having said that, the reality is that that a lot of these ECM vendors are providing really simplistic cloud file sharing capabilities. So their sync capabilities are not as advanced as some of the advanced products and so on, right? So if you have those kind of sophisticated sync and share type of requirements, so you want the capability to, for example, define what folders get synced, you want selective sync, those kind of capabilities, then you are probably better off with standalone products who are more sophisticated in that sense. We have also seen people using two different categories of products for two different scenarios, so that is also acceptable. are there any cloud-based ECM tools? Uh, well, so cloud can mean different things in context of ECM, right? So if you refer to cloud as a multi-tenant SaaS-based deployment model or delivery model, then most CFSS tools would fall in that category. There won't be too many ECM products in that category right now, but there are some document management tools. So Spring CM is one. There are a couple of others who fall into that category. But if by cloud you mean more as an infrastructure or a process as a service, then several of these vendors provide uh, support for those deployment models. So pretty much all of them probably now provide some level of support for cloud-based deployment models. So uh, you can host them. They can provide a managed service, or they can set up a private cloud or a hybrid cloud for you to run your implementation of those clouds. So there is some support there. Okay, I think that's all the time we had today. There are several more questions. I will try to answer them via email. Uh, we've run out of our half an hour, so I'll close the Q&A session here. Thank you all for attending this webinar. If you have further questions, please feel free to email me or to Scott, and we'll address them offline. Thank you again.